keep God first. I see evil, when I converse.
Not today, say.
This how God works. Play my position, what is given with no concerns. Set it off. Top of the morning, I'm gonna set it off. You living boring, I'm gonna set it off. Shooting, I'm scoring, I'm gonna set it off. Like soldiers torn, I'm gonna set it off. Son of God, no, I am not son of man. Blessings keep falling, the fingers keep coming in. I got you, but just know I'm texting like Uncle Sam. Left to the bank, you know that I'm coming in. We don't do it for the bands though, we don't do it for the clout. Legacy on the line, so I'm moving in and out. Seen good ones turn top dog, greedy ones get knocked off. I keep looking at the bench like I could never not ball. Coach keep me in the game, Curry deadly with the range. I keep looking in the mirror like, who is he? I'm insane. Who am I? He insane. Guess I ain't the one to blame. What's done is done, won't change. Time to live up to my name. Real will be real, fake gon' fall. Took time with this here, I'm made for a while. No sleep in the while, I won't fall. No sleep in the while, I won't it all. I keep God first. I see evil, when I converse.
Not today, say.
This how God works. Play my position, what is given with no concerns. Set it off. Top of the morning, I'm gonna set it off. You living boring, I'm gonna set it off. Shooting, I'm scoring, I'm gonna set it off. Like soldiers torn, I'm gonna set it off. Told my baby, meet me at the bank. Told my mama, I'ma break the trend. Locked in, I'ma change the weight. Working for my baby's kids. Hard times couldn't make the rent. Working hard, couldn't save a cent. Lonely nights, just me and God. Swear to him, always made the ends. Grab a paper, see the news. Hate coming by the tools. Walk a mile in my shoes. Something you can never do. Got my back against the wall. Bet I always pull through. Who are you, who are you? Who are you, who are you? Sending shots, I block 'em. Superman with the moves. Rock 'em, sock 'em, drop, pop 'em. Play to win, never lose. Run it up, I top 'em. Play full belly too. I hip hop or pop 'em. Anything I could do. The real won't be real, fake gon' fall. Took time with this here, I made for a while. No sleep in the while, I won't fall. No sleep in the while, I won't it all. I keep God first. I see evil, when I converse.
Not today, say.
This how God works. Play my position, what is given with no concerns. Set it off. Top of the morning, I'm gonna set it off. You living boring, I'm gonna set it off. Shooting, I'm scoring, I'm gonna set it off. Like soldiers torn, I'm gonna set it off.
I'm trying to touch the States this time. 2021. Gotta show him I can still rap though.
Now I'm in the game, I was on the bench. First I was renting, now I'm collecting rent. Run it up. First it was the Beamer, now I want the Benz. Spending all the bag like here I go again. Outside says the chirp, now the camera phone. Told you I'ma make, keep the channels on. Why you acting different when the camera's on? Why you acting different like your paper long? 8 day wake up and I thank God. Bad decision got you wishing you could say nah. My city gritty, you could get hit any day now. On my mama, I'ma move my family way out. With some 20s, 50s, hundreds, thousands, millions, billions, trillions, zillions. I'm talking Amazon money, talking so much money I could mess around and buy Amazon. I been winning, I'm like, why me? I heard these labels wanna buy me. I don't need you, boo, I style me. I roll G's and they grind me. Now I'm on my game, nothing is the same. Who am I to blame? Money made me change. Cardi in my ring when I'm switching lanes. Money in the carry on them Boeing planes. Money in the carry on them Boeing planes. Now I got $1 for all those rainy days. Ain't have a day off in like 80 days. I got hustles in like 80 ways. Kids if he won't take a lazy day. Wifey on me told me take a break. I keep going to the paper street. Then it's trips out to Montego Bay. If I take the job, bet I get it done. I said it before, I'm a one-on-one. I just caught some ones, only wearing ones. Fornicate the funds, money made me calm. Diamonds on your neck, bet they on your neck. You want that watch, you better rock a tech. You want that chain, you better cop a vest. You want that check, but can you make it stretch?
I know, I roll, 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 roll.
I know, I roll, 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 no drip, this a river, I roll, roll, roll.
No drip,
I roll, 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 no drip, this a river, I roll, roll, roll.
I know,
I roll, 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 no drip, this a river, I roll, roll, roll.
no drip,
I roll, 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 no drip, this a river, I roll, roll, roll.
I know,
This a river, I roll, roll, roll. Don't slip, I be on my 10 toes. Way she threw it at me, I'm like, whoa, whoa. Been with her since before I had a phone. I've been with the gang, we some pup-ups. Stay on top of green like a putt-putt. Acting all mean, giddy, oh. Do my own thing, so I know, I roll, roll, roll. No drip, this a river, I roll, roll, roll.
no drip,
I roll, roll, roll. No drip, this a river, I roll, roll, roll.
I know,
I roll, roll, roll. No drip, this a river, I roll, roll, roll.
no drip,
I roll, roll, roll. No drip, this a river, I roll, roll, roll.
I know,
I can chubby belly big and not eat good. Not one, not two, I'm talking three good. You move shaky, you play me, you only preach good. Tried this on me, you owe me, you should've schemed good. Now I got you alright. Hot girl summer, had to put you on nice. Talking on my ear, alright. She just want the Louis but I got from Off-White, right? Racks under my pillow, now I sleep good. LA onto the choker so she can breathe good. And my little babies get whatever they want. If I say it, I mean it, no front. I know, I roll, roll, roll. No drip, this a river, I roll, roll, roll.
no drip,
I roll, roll, roll. No drip, this a river, I roll, roll, roll.
I know,
I roll, roll, roll. No drip, this a river, I roll, roll, roll.
no drip,
I roll, roll, roll. No drip, this a river, I roll, roll, roll.
I know.
Det var första gången vi möttes. Våra blickar bara möttes. Kommer du ihåg det igen? Kommer du ihåg igen? Du vill ha icy little fingers. Då du vet det chalas. All in, ingen broms, schackmatt på din vänster hand. Du är så viktig baby. Ja, du är allians. Du är försiktig baby. Men du gav mig en chans. Det är 50-50 baby. Men det är balans. Jag växlar upp med dig baby. Ingen annan. Det var fan ingen dans på någon ros innan jag träffade någon som det. Som det, baby. Det var fan ingen dans på någon ros innan jag träffade någon som det. Du är mitt liv baby. Aldrig titta på någon annan. Varför du med annan? Kom var med mig baby. Aldrig lita på någon annan. Finns ingen annan, jag vill ha min chockarina. Låsa och save, ingen sinna. Jag kommer alltid ride with you. 100 gubbar klart jag die for you. Du är så viktig baby. Ja, du är allians. Du är försiktig baby. Men du gav mig en chans. Det är 50-50 baby. Men det
illusions can become delusions if you're not willing to do the work or the introspection to determine where those illusions and delusions came.
None of my people. I love that. None of my people.
We got my man Corey from Blind Guy, his wife, their life. Corey, how you doing, brother?
What's the deal, clinician? Is everything kosher?
Everything is kosher, brother. Everything is kosher.
So listen, is the fat meat still greasy?
The fat meat is still greasy. Listen, audience, we're going to drop some fire for your mind on tonight. And in the clinical world, we use the word fire for your mind because in the clinical world, when the neurons and the synapses come together, your cognitions are actually awakened. This story on the night is going to more or less talk about my dear friend Corey from Blind Guy, his wife, their life. And so this is going to be a very intense discussion because many men that went through what Corey went through would have more or less imploded from within. And I've said in the past that a broken man is a hopeless man, and a hopeless man is a dangerous man. Corey from Blind Guy, his wife, their life, went through something very traumatic, but it's through grace and also resilience that Corey has more or less challenged the world. Do not enter unless you're ready to go do the things that he went through. So I want you guys to listen, but also get ready to get engaged because you're going to more or less understand what happens when men suffer in silence. Now listen, I told you guys in the past that a broken man is a hopeless man, and a hopeless man is a dangerous man. And this story is a story as it relates to the testament of grace by my dear friend Corey and how he overcame a lot of the burdens and the perils of being blind. Resilience is something that many people don't have. Resilience is something that many people lack and many people often implode from within. But Corey is going to give you his testament of grace and how he still struggles with being blind, but also trying to be strong and resilient for himself, his wife, and also his children. Now, Corey, I want you to more or less tell the audience once again who you are, what happened, and more or less how you are coping with the negative impact of losing your sight at such an early age.
Well, good evening, everybody. Thank you for having me on, Coaching Clinicians. It's an honor to be here, a pleasure to be here. And so I definitely appreciate the opportunity to be on this panel to talk to your viewers. My name is Corey. Corey, they call me the Blind Guy. I am the Blind Guy. Our channel is Blind Guy, his wife, their life. And what part of our channel is, we're a self-improvement resource library for people who are looking to change the narrative of their life as far as their health, their business, and their wealth. And that stems from just all the things that I've experienced as a Black person that lost his vision, and from the things that we've experienced together as a couple, because Laquita, my wife, was there with me from the day one of losing my sight all the way up to today. So big shout out to my wife for all of her wonderful support that she's been giving me over the years. Right. I tell everybody, first of all, just so you know, I'm a big old country boy. I grew up in the country. I grew up with country values, country cousins, country kinfolks, and that really, shaped a lot of things about me as far as resiliency, because it taught me three important F's in life, and that's faith, family, and friends.
Excellent.
And those are the things that really I lean on. I've been leaning on all through my life. When I say faith, not just talking about spirituality, religion, but just having belief in yourself, personal belief in yourself that you can accomplish things. And of course, family. Family's not just your blood relatives, but those people that are closest, the nearest and dearest to you. Then you have your friend network, which are all the people that are part of your network, as far as, it could be a neighbor, coworker, a lot of people that just kind of gravitate towards you and that become part of that that system of people that, they, as people like to say, that the people that rock with you in the toughest times. So those are basically that's my formula for resilience: is have faith, have family, have friends, surround yourself with good people, and believe in yourself, and then you can overcome any situation. I learned a lot of things I learned. I'm a big time sports fan. I'm a major into football. Played football all through my high school career. I was not blind. That wouldn't have been a good look trying to play football. You can't see, but I was not blind in high school. I lost my sight when I was 19, the year after I graduated from high school. But prior to that, sports taught me a lot about teamwork, but it also taught me a lot about adjusting on the fly. because we have to make sure that we get into get in and out of certain situations as they evolve on the field. So this is all about flexibility, and that's when. So faith, family, friends, and flexibility. That's another thing that adds to resilience. So that's where I come from as far as my background is concerned. So yeah, so that's it. That's who Corey is in a nutshell.
In a nutshell, no doubt. Now listen, guys, this show is going to be very important for male mental health because Corey has exhibited something called resilience. Imagine being 18 to 21, everything is okay, but the last time you saw the brink of day was probably almost 30 years ago. Corey, I want you to ask you this question. What does resilience mean to Corey? What does it mean to be resilient in your mind?
Again, resilience means to be able to bounce back from tough situations and to come out on the other side of that tough situation a better person. It also means to have learned something from that situation that you can carry forward and teach to other people. That's the true sign of resilience to me. So I believe that part of resilience, again, is the flexibility, just being able to be flexible to learn from whatever situations come your way and be able to adapt. And again, that goes right back to those other F's that I was telling you about, believing in yourself and then surrounding yourself with those good, positive people that can help you to, in that situation, to bounce back and to realize all the good things that you still have going in front of you, even though you're going through this tough situation.
Let's go back in time. The last time you had your sight, you were how old, Corey?
I was 19 years old the last time I had my sight. The last thing I actually saw when I was going through that situation was Laquita's face. She was one of the last people I actually looked at. I was in the hospital. I had a surgery where they put a shunt in my brain to regulate the pressure on my optic nerve. And so I went to sleep that one night. She came to visit, and I actually remember I was watching Jeopardy and then in the hospital, and she came in and I looked at her, and then she left. That was the last time I actually looked at her. And then I woke up the next morning, I was like, Ma, Dad, turn on the lights. Why you got the room so dark? And so they were like, no, it's 11 o'clock in the morning and the blinds are open, it's sunny and bright. And that's when I knew my world had changed.
Wow, that's sad, man. And Corey, you have been on my heart for a while, man. And I don't know, something to say. You got to interview Corey so Corey can tell the world about how he became resilient into what's called literally one of the darkest periods in his life, a man that went from seeing the world to actually going dark, and also dealing with the challenges of seeing his beautiful wife in her younger years. But as time went on, he had to more or less imagine what his wife looked like. Corey, I'm going to do a show in the future called Gen X Nexus, and you and I are from the class, we're from, I think, class of 90, class of 89. And so many things have changed, Corey, since that time period, good and bad. You talk about football, you talk about video games, you talk about music. What do you remember from the 90s that stood out and that you remember and you missed and you struggled with that, Corey, once you lost your eyesight?
I always tell the story as like this: if I could go back and just the way I say it, I would like to DDT and suplex the video game makers in Hollywood, because they play such an unfair trick on me. They're like, okay, Corey can't see anymore. Now let's come out with all the cool stuff. I mean, the last video game I played with sight was the Sega Genesis, Mortal Kombat, and Joe Montana Sports Talk Football. And I hear all these wonderful stories about how the graphics are just so much better now. I was a major Transformers fan growing up. And then after I lost my sight, that's when they came out with the Transformer movies and all this CGI technology came out. So I just imagine that the world of entertainment from that standpoint has evolved tremendously, and I would love to be able to see those things and see how they play out now. Now, I will say music has always been a passion of mine. My dad raised me up on the Motown sound, and my dad and all his brothers could sing. Most of my cousins and the men in our family on my dad's side can sing. So music has always been important to me. And it just became more integral in my life when I lost my sight, because of course my world became sound rich. So yeah, it's hard to imagine what the world looks like now, especially with, when you're talking about video games and movies, but I still enjoy myself.
Well, you are definitely a testament to grace. You are definitely a testament to grace. Now listen, guys, to the ones that are watching the show, please like, share, subscribe. hit all notification buttons, hit the bell button, so when we bring you this quality content, you'll know when we're going live. Male mental health is very vital to the efficacy of a man. And when men suffer in silence, negative things can happen and they don't have the proper healthy coping mechanisms to deal with it. Corey, let's start back that first year after you lost your eyesight. And let's tell the audience the struggles that you had, Corey, as a man in that first year.
Yeah, the first year, and I would say the first 2 or 3 years were very rough because the only thing I knew about people being blind was Stevie Wonder, Ray Charles, that movie Hear No Evil, See No Evil with Richard Pryor, and this guy used to come to the grocery store I worked as a kid who was a fan of Wild Irish Rose. And when I lost my sight, I was like, well, I don't like Wiley Wiley. Mm-hmm. I don't want to sell gummy candy at the vending stand, and I'm not going to play the piano and sing. So what do I do? And I think that was one of the major things, just trying to figure out, I felt like half a man because I didn't know where I was going, how I was going to get there, and what I was going to do for the rest of my life. And it was a struggle. It was just a struggle, feeling that life was just passing me by, friends were falling off one by one, because they were getting married or they were moving away because of the military, or they graduated from college and they were moving on with their professions. So it got pretty dark for me. And without going into much detail, there were some pretty dark days that, especially one particular dark day that I was having. And this goes to the family and friends. One of my best friends I grew up with him. He's my next door neighbor. He couldn't get the key in the door of his house because he kept hearing something in his spirit, just kept saying, go check on Corey, go check on Corey. He said so he was going to go later. He couldn't get the key to turn in the door. And so he said he just came across the street to check on me. And I was at my lowest point, considering some real crazy things. But he opened the door. He said, I just came to check on you, man. We just had that moment where I just kind of let it all hang out. He was, I was crying, he was crying. And I was able to open up and share all my concerns and all my fears and frustrations that I hadn't shared with anybody before, that I had just bottled up inside of me. Right. And that was a moment when I think the resilience started to kick in because I got all that out of my system at that particular time.
Many times, Corey, in situations like that, some men turn inward and think about ending it all. Some actually go through it. Some don't go through it. Did that ever come to your mind, or you were able to circumnavigate around it for the most part?
Well, I mean, when I said some pretty dark moments, that's where I pretty much was at that day. That day that Mike came over again. He said he couldn't get the key in the door. He said it would not turn, and he came over. And at that point, for me, it wasn't a matter of if as much as it was how. And so I share this story. I don't feel any shame. I used to feel shame in it, but I don't feel shame anymore.
There's no shame, brother. There's no shame.
It can help somebody.
Yes, sir.
And so when he came over, I opened up to him and told him that, what I was considering. He was like, he said, you got a mission. He said, you just got to find out the roadmap to complete that mission and then finish it. He said, it's a lot for you to do. He said, a lot for you to create and to a lot of people to inspire. He said, so I'm here for you. And he's been a brother. I talk to this guy to this day. He's still my best friend. He's godparents to my children. He is just a wonderful person. And the funny part to that story is once he left, he called me later on. He said, Corey, when I left your house, he said that key went in that door and turned just as easy, like nothing was wrong. And that's how he said, I know I was sent there. He said, by the Creator to do something to help you to find your footing in this situation.
Mm-hmm. That's powerful, man. So it sounds like to me, Corey, that you went through something that, if you look in the spiritual world, that it sounds like to me that God had purpose for Corey. And it also sounds like to me, through your pain and your afflictions, you have discovered grace. What does it mean to Corey to have discovered grace through his pain and his affliction? Because it sounds like, you did something similar to what the Apostle Paul went through. He said, through my afflictions, I'm going to trust God. So how did how did faith play a role, Corey, in helping you deal with being blind?
Yeah, faith, the main thing with faith for me is that I had to find a belief in myself that I was still belief in myself that I was still worth something. I still had something to offer the world. Mm-hmm. And, no matter what spiritual practice people ascribe to, God does have a purpose for you. And sometimes that purpose can get lost when you're going through some of the challenges in life, especially when you go through a challenge such as, losing your sight or losing a limb or losing a loved one. Those things can derail that purpose if you allow it to. But I think the thing is that with grace, the grace that I found was learning to forgive myself for being vision impaired. That because this is not something that you planned, it's not something you bought on yourself. It's something that's a circumstance in your life. So now that you can forgive yourself for all the things that you were feeling, and then move past it, and then use your experience to teach other people, what it means to have faith, family, and friends in your corner, and how they can overcome those situations through resiliency. So again, I just think, as far as me discovering grace was being able to forgive myself in that situation and saying, look, it's okay that you're different. It's okay that you're not the same physical person that you used to be, but you are the same intelligent, talented person. And if I might say so myself, not too bad looking person that you used to be. Just you have just to reshape yourself and rebuild yourself and recreate yourself and remold yourself to fit the new environment I found myself in.
Corey, when you lost your manhood, you were very
let's fix that one. Let's fix that.
No, not for me. I'm sorry. When you lost your eyesight, you were very young. What did it do to your manhood as a man? Did it make you feel less masculine? Did you question your masculinity? Did you question your ability to serve and more or less protect your family, since the eyesight that you once had was now gone?
It did. It definitely affected it challenged. I won't say affected. It challenged my ideas of masculinity, because I'm the type of person that doesn't like to ask for help or have to depend on other people. And that stems from me being an only child. Like I said, my parents' only child, and I was always an independent person as far as having to make decisions a lot of times when they weren't there and I was on my own. Some of them weren't so great. When I was growing up, I made some crazy decisions, and my father, he was alive today, he would definitely aid me in that one. But it did affect my thought process. I felt like half a man, because when Laquita and I, we were still dating, she would come to the house to pick me up to go out somewhere. When we were walking, it was no longer holding her hand or putting my arm around her waist. It was holding on to her for guidance. It was no longer, go to the restaurant and, not struggle, in the beginning, struggling to, figure out the menus and, having her have to help me to find out what I wanted to order and read to me. It almost felt childlike. I felt childlike, and I felt like I said, definitely half a man. It did affect that. But again, go back to those 4 F's: faith, family, and friends. Those are the people that family and friends help you to realize that you still have some value in your life that you can offer. So that definitely was a way for me to get past that. And as far as feeling less than a man, because like I said, I definitely don't feel that as strongly as I used to anymore.
But that's powerful. It's powerful that you don't feel like your manhood has been minimized due to being blind. When you think about being blind and overcoming, who were some of the men in your life that kept you grounded after you and during your first year of being blind? Who were some of the men, Corey, that kept you grounded during your first year of being blind?
I would say first and foremost was my father. My father has been a champion of mine ever since since I came into the world, because he was initially told that because of a childhood ailment, he would have a very low possibility of having children. So when my mom found out I was on the way, and then when they bought me wrapped in a blue blanket to him, because of course this is the day before ultrasounds, when he saw that blue blanket, my mom said he would have done 40 backflips across the floor in the labor delivery ward. And so he's always been there for me, always been a champion for me. He's always been there. I remember one time I broke both my arms at the same time doing something stupid that I shouldn't have done. And he was the one that was there, going through me with all the pain of the procedures and everything. He was the one that was holding me down, to get through that situation. My father was always there at every football game that I played. We played games in torrential downpours. He would take a trash bag, a lawn and garden trash bag, and make himself a raincoat out of it, and be one of the only parents out there cheering as if it was 70 degrees and sunny outside. So he was the one that kept championing me in that first year, helping me to find my way, find out that I'm still a man, because he would actually get me out doing stuff. He would have me go out in the yard and help him with yard work. I wasn't cutting the grass, but when he was breaking up pine straw or leaves, he would definitely have me come out there and help. He said, man, these bags are heavy. I'm getting old, man. He said, you need to come help the old man bring these this bag of leaves and pine straw across the yard. And so I wasn't getting it at first, that he was just basically trying to encourage me to continue to do some of the things that men do. And when it came to assembling things that came in the house, or working on the septic tank or the water pump that we had in our house, he would get me out there using tools, and that helped me to keep reminding me, hey, you're still a man, you still can do manly things. The second person I would say is definitely my friend Mike. He definitely he would come over. He wouldn't talk to me about being blind. He would come out and we would go. He encouraged me to get a home gym. He would come over. We would work out together. We would watch football games together. We would watch basketball games together. And then I had my uncle Mike. He was a big source of. There's two different Mikes. My uncle Mike was my dad, of course, my dad's brother. Big source of encouragement, because he was the one that actually bought the storyteller out of me, the professional storyteller out of me, because he would allow me to just spin yarns and tell jokes, and we would get out there. He would actually get me playing the dozens and roast me as if I was just a regular person. And I liked that. I liked being treated like I wasn't blind, that I wasn't a blind man, but I was a man. And I enjoyed it. Those are the three guys that really helped me to pull out of that situation.
We all have dreams as men, and I would say it's a testament of grace, Corey, that I've been able to accomplish all the dreams that I wanted to accomplish. I never knew how far I can go in life, but I will say that I have been able to accomplish all the goals, Corey, that I want to accomplish. I matriculated at North Carolina Central. That was a goal of mine. I got my first degree in law enforcement, and also got my master's from the University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill. So I feel like, for the most part, if I left this earth today, even though I've had some trials and tests, I've accomplished every goal that I wanted to accomplish. Corey, do you sometimes look back and become angry with God because you feel like you didn't accomplish some of the things that you wanted to accomplish? And if you have been angry with God, how do you continue to cope with it, being in darkness physically?
I would say in the earlier times, I might have felt that way, but now I feel like there's still so much to accomplish, and then I'm accomplishing those things daily, monthly, yearly. Again, when I went to college, I graduated from college. You shout out your college, I'm gonna shout mine out now. I graduated from Old Dominion University, and I graduated summa cum laude. I had 3.99 GPA. There was a 4.0 until some vanity professor gave me an A-, but that's a whole nother story. But graduated with a 3.99 GPA, and won the Kaufman Award, which is given to the top graduating senior in the class. And that was something that I was able to accomplish, again, with faith, family, and friends, because I don't want to get it twisted. And then nobody does anything by themselves. Everybody has to have that network and that foundation. I'm a successful playwright. I've written several play scripts, and that have been professionally produced by local theater companies where we are, and those have been greatly successful and have led me to start my own company. When I was attending college, I started my own arts education company, where I actually begin to develop presentations and for corporate team builders and other types of other entities, other settings. So there is still a lot for me to do, and I've accomplished quite a bit, even in spite of being vision impaired. And I found myself in the presence of movie stars. I found myself in the presence of professional athletes, especially on our broadcast, our YouTube channel, Blind Guy, His Wife, Their Life. That has been a major vehicle to definitely that's growing, and we're continuing to evolve in that. So there's still a lot left to accomplish in that particular arena as well. But again, it's put me in positions that I've talked to people that I could have only dreamed of talking to when I was a teenager. And so, and I wouldn't even thought that I could talk to them when I was a teenager, but being in the position I am now, I definitely I feel like I've accomplished a lot and there's still a lot to accomplish. So am I angry with God? No, I don't like the situation that I'm in, but I'm not angry at God. I'm actually very thankful for the things and opportunities that I have had in this situation.
You know, the 90s was a very tumultuous time. I would say the 90s was what I call the Gen X nexus, because it was a nexus point where you and I, Corey, experienced a lot of good. We knew about the civil rights movement. We experienced, you know, a time when we saw more intact families. So we were at that bridge. We were right in the middle between seeing traditionalism, but also neo-modernism. What do you feel like you've missed about growing up in the 90s? If you can go back in time, you would more or less say, wow, I wish I could have known what was going on. I know you talked about video games, but is there anything in particular from the 90s do you wish that you could have more or less explored? And now you're more or less frustrated because you never got a chance to explore it or see it.
I think if I had to really say if there's anything in the 90s that I missed, I feel like financial education was a big one, because a lot of the companies that are the big dogs in the stock market, you know, you have the Apple, you have a lot of these other companies, Walmart, you have all these other companies that are big dogs in the stock market, or have been in the past big dogs in the stock market. They were fledgling companies, you know, at that time. I still remember the first Macintosh computer, desktop with a little Apple bite on the side of it. I seen one of those, and it was at the time it was new when it was coming out in the 90s. But now you can't get around it. Apple is everywhere. So if I had to go back in time and advise my younger self, that's the first thing I would do. Say, hey, look, take your paycheck that you're getting from your part-time job, invest in Apple. I would love to have taken the time to understand the way that real estate game has developed, because in my neighborhood alone that I grew up in, my neighborhood is not the same anymore. It used to be a small cul-de-sac, but now it's housing developments all around, and many people who are able to sell land and, you know, and get major profits off of that. I would love to be able to explore those types of things, the business side of life. And I think that's because the 90s to me is where a lot of the things that we're seeing today kind of kicked off. So that's some of the things I wish I had explored, as well as I wish I had taken the time to do some more traveling to not just different states, but to different countries, to get into to explore the continent of Africa when I was younger, to explore, you know, some of the more of the Caribbean when I was younger, and just to get out and meet new people and have different experiences beyond my immediate circle of in the United States of America. So.
Well, that's powerful. It's powerful that you got an opportunity to, you know, explore some of the things, or more or less elaborate on things in the 90s. You know, marriage is such a beautiful institution. And Corey, you and I grew up in a time when marriage was more or less seen as something valuable. I want you to go back to the first time, to the day that you got married. And what are your struggles? What do you still continue to struggle with as it relates to the time when you married your beautiful bride, Laquita? And do you often wonder what does she look like now, as you guys have been more or less been together for over 20 years, correct?
21 years this year. Mm-hmm. Back in 21, I always tease her, I said 21 long, hard, arduous, prison-like years. But yeah, I will say this, that one of the beautiful things about it is Laquita's always had a beautiful smile, very pretty eyes. She's always been a beautiful woman. And I tell people all the time, I said, no matter how old we get, as long as I can't see, in my mind, Laquita can be 81 and she'll still be 19 in my mind. Wow, that's the image that's powerful, that's the image that's burned in my mind. And so I do miss being able to see her. But again, she's always here. Like I said, I always have, whenever I'm talking to her, there's this one particular picture that we took. We went to a formal event, and I can still see that picture. I can still see that smile. I can still see those eyes. And that's the picture I see when she's talking. And even though she's mad at me, I still see her smiling with those pretty eyes. And I did miss watching the change, you know, when she was carrying our 3 daughters. I would have loved to been able to see that physically. And I think, but like I said, I still think back, you know, she's always going to be 19. Some of the challenges as far as back, being married, from the beginning of being married. I think there's still times where I do carry a tiny bit of guilt for being a vision impaired husband, because I do see that we're not traditional. But the great thing about it is Laquita does not mind being not traditional. She doesn't mind being the primary driver in the household. She doesn't mind the fact that she has to, even though I might be putting something together, assembling an item of furniture in the house, she doesn't mind being the one that's handing me the tools or reading me the instructions and placing the tool where it needs to go so that I can do the turning and the wrench work. She doesn't mind the fact that she knows she's the one that's going to be jumping out pumping the gas. I'll tell you a funny story. One time she was carrying one of our daughters and she was very pregnant, and we were getting a piece of furniture from the store, and we had a pickup truck, and this woman, we were trying to tie it down real good. She hops up in the back of the pickup truck, pregnant and all. And I'm standing there just kind of looking like, okay, what do I do now? And this old man says, what are you doing? He says, I'm trying to tie this down so it's more secure. She said, and he won't help you? Like, I was just the most trifling person in the world. And then she said, well, he can't see and he can't jump up here like that. And the man's like, oh, okay. And for a minute, I felt kind of like, oh man, I'm off my mark as a man. But then, we got in the car. Of course, we laughed and talked about it. She said, man, he all up in our business. Don't even know the situation. So that's, sometimes I do feel those things. But for the most part, we have a great relationship. And Laquita's a great person. She's very supportive. And, we work well together. So there's not too many regrets that I have, other than, like I said, it's not being able to see her physically. But I always have that image burned in my mind of her being 19.
Let's talk about your 3 beautiful daughters that you have, and we're going to talk about that in a minute. But to the 25 people that are listening and watching, please hit all notification buttons. Once you guys hit all notification buttons, put a 1 in the chat. And if you have not donated, donate to Cash App $7Smalls. That's Cash App $7Smalls. We're going to have another powerful show on tomorrow. Be ready at 7:10. It's going to be entitled Redemption. We're going to have Charleston White, Dr. Johnny Vega, and my man LAR Movement. LAR Movement is big time in these YouTube streets. So is Charleston White. And we're going to talk about the power of redemption, as a lot of black men often struggle mentally because they don't have the proper mentors to help them traverse through the negative maze of manhood. Corey, you have 3 beautiful daughters. What does fatherhood mean to you, and what are your struggles of not being able to see your babies?
The struggles, they're not struggles as much as they are just minor frustrations, because, again, it goes back to, I don't know what they look like. I don't know that people say, okay, well, one of them is Laquita Jr., the middle one is Laquita Jr., and the baby is Laquita Jr. Like, they all look like their mother. Thank God they don't look like me. One lady said, the middle one kind of looks like you, but she cute though. And I was like, well, gee, thanks a lot. That helps me out. But I definitely miss the fact that I don't see them. I haven't seen them. I don't get to see them grow and change from babies to girls to young women to ladies. That's one thing. But fatherhood to me just looks like it gives me opportunities to have lots of conversations with them. I still, we go for walks and we have long talks when we go on these walks. We enjoy conversing with one another. They come and confide in me with a lot of information. And I enjoy that. I enjoy being very, very close to my daughters, and I enjoy having that close relationship with them. I would say one of the challenges that I'm preparing to face now is that one of them is a teenager and heading into that realm where young men are going to start to come hanging around and want to be, taking her out and do things. So now my concern has always been, how do I protect them? But it just goes back to common sense. I have to vet every single person, whether it's a female or a male coming to the house, whether it's a friend, a young lady that's their friend, or whether it's a young man that has a dating interest in my daughters. I have to vet them, and I have to set up ground rules and groundwork so that they know what I expect from them as my daughters, and whoever's coming over, they know what to expect when they come into my household as well. So those are the types of things that I currently look to as a concern, but I'm not overly concerned because I have a system in place in mind that I'm going to put in and install so that nothing the person gets adequately vetted before they can even go to a school dance or sit on the porch and talk to one another. There's going to be a heavy system of vetting for that. So I think that's the main challenge that I see as a father, just dealing with those teenage years, having 3 girls and potential relationships that might try to evolve while they're still in high school.
Corey, many will say that marriages are trying and testing. But before we expand in that area, at some point, Laquita can pop in, fine, if not, no big deal. But I would love to talk with her as well because she's also been very resilient. We live in a time, Corey, where many women will divorce their husband for anything. Did you ever worry that your wife might leave you, Corey, based on your mental health condition, or more or less your physical and mental health condition? Because I'm sure you went through depression.
Yeah, and I never thought about it after we got married, but I did think about it more in terms of when I first lost my vision, and I actually tried to end things myself so that I wouldn't feel the sting of her calling me or coming over one day saying, "Hey, I can't do this anymore. It's over." I actually called her over and said, "Look, I don't know where life is taking me. I don't know how I'm going to handle this situation. I don't know what I'm going to do with myself. So I said, rather than hold you down or hold on to you, I'd rather let you go and explore the world, live your life, and don't worry about me." I said, "Yes, it's gonna hurt if you leave, but at the same time, I'll be all right." I said, "But I don't want to be the cause of you missing out on life because, you're feeling guilty. You're staying with me out of a sense of guilt." And she actually told me that day, she was like, "Corey, you're the same guy that I fell in love with when we first started dating."
Wow.
And she said, the only thing is you don't drive and you can't see." She said, "You're still the same, got the same intelligence, you got the same heart." She said, "You can do anything, you just have to get past this point." And she said, "I'm here for you. I'm not going anywhere." She said, "I'm not going anywhere." And that's when I knew I had a gym. I knew it before, but I knew I had a gym for real then.
Right.
And
That's
she
good,
stuck and stayed, and we're still here. And we have our moments, ups and downs, like every other couple. But do I ever think about her? That it's always going to come to an end? No, I don't think about. That's not the first thought that comes to my mind. My first thought is, okay, we got to work this out because we've been through the worst that we can actually have been through with me losing my sight. So let's work this out. And because we've always found ways to come out on top.
When you think about a virtuous woman, what makes your wife a virtuous woman? What makes Laquita a virtuous woman, in your opinion?
Because she does exactly what I tell her when I tell her. And when I say jump, she says how high. When I say sit down, she says what do you want me to sit at? She does everything I want her. That's what makes her a virtuous woman. Oh, I didn't know you were in here. I'm sorry. See how she sneak up on the blind guy?
Wow. Laquita, this is a very powerful story. It's a testament to grace, but it also is a testament to resilience because many people, Laquita, are not resilient when it comes down to their marriage, when it comes down to being tempted, when it comes down to ending it all. Let's talk about some of the challenges and the struggles you went through when you found out your boyfriend, or at the time boyfriend, became blind. And did you ever consider moving on, or you felt like Corey's magnetism kept you close at bay?
I like the way you said magnetism. Corey, I was in there listening, y'all. So don't think I didn't hear Corey's version, and now you're like, see? Anyways, I'm gonna ignore Corey for now because you're like, the magnetism, trying to make it seem like, well, Corey painted this picture and he was the Mac. I heard you, Corey. You did a good job. Thank you. You know what? I will say that being with Corey, for me, it wasn't a situation of me trying to figure out like, wait a minute, they just gave him a diagnosis and it's a long-term diagnosis. I didn't see it that way. I really was just naive and ignorant to the fact that this might be a very long experience, So when I got here, it turned into, okay, this is where we are, but let's do whatever's right now. I don't think I really looked at 5 years ahead. you know, nowadays they give you a business plan. They teach you how to plan for life, plan for your home, plan for your education, plan for travels. But when things happen, like they never really say, wow, if you get in a car accident, look ahead, you know, and this happens to you, look ahead. That's how I was. I was just kind of stuck, you know. I didn't realize that we could really be where we are right now. 20 and just also I was going to say 25 years later because Corey has been blind for 25 years,
Right.
but I didn't think to myself, Corey and I would be here 29 years later. Because keep in mind that yes, we've been married 21 years. I heard you, Corey, talking about 21 years.
I said married.
I know, but you didn't say with those long, arduous years, you didn't say it's been 29. Like we've been together.
Okay, it's been a life sentence. How about that? Ever since junior high, it's been a life sentence. How about that? You happy now?
we were not together in junior high.
Well, we knew each other in junior high, so
That's funny. That's funny.
So yeah, you know, we've been together since high school, not junior high. And what else, Corey? That's the long and short of it. You know, I really got into this situation thinking, wait, hey, this is fun. I got a boyfriend. This happened to him. He's still a great guy. So that's our situation. And yeah, it really didn't hit me. I don't even think it necessarily ever came to me that, dang, he still can't see, because I just never feel that way. Corey feels that, you know, waking up like, oh, I got to do this again. You know, dang, this is still my situation. I don't ever feel that way. I'm like on the outside, you know, where it's like, I'm just keeping an eye out all the time. Like, hey, Corey, stop, wait. That toy is on the floor. You're going to slip down and die because the kids left it out again. But
look, I need you to get something out the back of the truck. Can you back the truck up and get it out and then bring it to me? I'm like, yeah, I'll go do it.
right. And I'll be like, Corey, the truck is in the back, because Corey could drive, you know. And so Corey will go right out there, get to the truck, pull it forward, get the stuff out of the back it back in, and we're good. And so I don't even think about it that you can't see. So man, I need to go pull it forward. You can carry the stuff. Nope. You better get in, because I know you're strong. I know you can do stuff. So even now, I don't think of it that way. Get in here. We need you.
And I think the cool thing about Laquita is that she's always been a big champion of mine. And when I didn't believe in myself, she was the one that was like, you know, go. You know, you can do this. We can, and I got your back.
Right.
And,
that's powerful, man.
Yeah, I never forget when I was transitioning from community college to university. I just remember talking to her, and I was like, you know, I actually opened up. I said, I'm scared. I said, I'm afraid. She said, what are you scared of? I said,
what, when you were going to school?
Yeah, when I was in college. And this is when I couldn't see.
But this was when you're talking about when you were at the
community college. I started at the community college, and I was like, I don't know if I can do this at the university level, because, you know, the course load is probably gonna be heavier. I'm trying to carry 12 credits instead of carrying part-time credit hours. I don't know if I can do this. And these guys, they're here, they've been here, they're smarter than me. And I remember she said, Corey, the same dummies in the class at the community college is gonna be the same dummies sitting at the university. She said, you got this, just go ahead and do it. And I was like, you know what? When I got this, she was right. You know, she nailed it. And she was there with me every step of it. When I wanted to produce my first, I wrote a play, and I said, I just kind of tossed it and, you know, wasn't thinking about, you know, this isn't going to go anywhere. But I let her read it. And she said, okay, Corey, we got to find a theater. We got to find a way to produce this. She said, because this is too good to just let sit on your hard drive. And we did it. And that, you know, she's always been that kind of person.
But I will say this too, because Corey glazed over that part. When Corey graduated, he did graduate summa cum laude. He did get the Kaufman Award, where one graduating senior wins this award. But what he didn't say is that award came with a $10,000 cash prize.
Oh, wow.
And so, yeah, you know what I mean? And so I always look at things like, you know, okay, what's next? How do we level up? What do we have? What can we do with what we have? So when you showed me that play, it was like, well, shucks, we got financing to start us off. You know, even if we don't have sponsors right now, even if we don't have X, Y, or Z, I know what we do have, and here's what we can do with it. So yeah, just always, you know, looking forward, moving forward. And onward and upward, as they say.
Onward and upward. Well, listen, Rick Scorpio, you are correct. Laquita is very rare, so she gets an applause because it's very rare to find women like Laquita. So many women there are selfish. So many modern women won't stand by their man, like Loretta Lynn said back in the day. And Laquita is a personification of not only femininity, but also resilience. Laquita, I know your marriage took some hits, and you guys got a very good show called My Marriage Needs Help.
Yeah.
And you can share what you feel comfortable with sharing. I know Corey's a Capricorn, you're a Capricorn, so I know both of y'all are stubborn. But what do you feel like you missed out on with your husband? What are some of the things when Corey is asleep, you might be crying, or the times in the early stages when you would cry, and you share what you feel comfortable with sharing. And shout out to my man Shannon Rawls. Shout out to my homie Shannon Rawls. Shannon Rawls got a booming channel that's actually doing very well. And we're gonna do a show at some point, Laquita and Corey, with Shannon, My Vivid Life. Shout out to my little Tinkerbell. And also shout out to TJ Mosaic. But we're going to do a show called the Gen X Nexus, because the Gen X, being from the class of 90, was that nexus point where things begin to take a turn for the worse. You are with a great man, but were there times where you felt conflicted, angry, or more or less like tempted to say, you know what, to hell with it, I'm going to end this?
Not
this
because,
morning.
I was gonna say not because he can't see. It's because Corey don't listen. So let me say this.
All right.
Corey is a regular man. See, he about to tell me to shut up on screen right now. Let me tell you. Okay, so let me back up, all right? Because shout out to Shannon, because Corey, just so you know, Shannon Rawls was talking about those 8 years. Like, what women want to hear every single moment. We've been here.
Shannon?
That's his brother. You can't come at him. Y'all brothers know to come to violence. Anyway.
You in my house, you're gonna mess me up now.
So anyways, thank you, Shannon. We appreciate your support. But so here's the thing. Corey is like any other man. Corey does the stuff that men don't do. When I say Corey doesn't listen, I'll be trying to help Corey out. I'll be like, hey, Corey, why don't you try it like this? I got it. And now I grew up with 3 brothers. I grew up with the dad. I grew up with grandfathers. I grew up around uncles, and I've seen them do it. The woman is like, oh, hey, this, that, and the third. Let me give it, they're trying to give some input. Oh, you could probably do it this way. You can maybe try this. And they're like, I got it. And then something happens, and then they come back and do it the original way. That's Corey. Stereotypical brother, stereotypical.
Now, how many times do women folks do that?
Well, no, we do. But what I'm trying to say is that that's not even part of my strife. You know what I mean? I know that that's just how men are. So I don't look at that and say, man, I'm going to end this. This is terrible. This is horrible. You know what I mean? I don't. And so I don't think I've had any moments where I felt like this is too much. Another side of it is that I grew up in a big family. I grew up in circumstances where I've just seen all kinds of people do all kinds of things. And my family, for whatever reason, why are you laughing already?
This is sounding bad, but okay.
I know. Oh, hold on. Let me clarify. Let me fix it. Okay. So I've seen a lot of different people. And I say that because I went to church a lot. You know how the church accepts everybody. They just bring everybody into church. And so my dad was a pastor, and we definitely were welcoming to all kinds of people. I remember, like if there was a revival or something, the minister would stay at our house, right? Or some of the sisters or the ladies from the church, they would stay at our house for that week for the revival or what have you. There was this one guy that would come stay with us every so often because he had mental issues as far as he was born, like back in the day, we used to say retarded, but you can't say that anymore. And so now we would say he has cognitive challenges, or he was on some sort of spectrum where nowadays they have all of those terms. Back in the day, the general word was they was different. They was touched, they was retarded, which were derogatory. So we've changed those terms. But he was a really sweet guy. He was in his 20s and he was harmless. So he would come stay with us sometimes a week or two because he was one of those people that would be in a group home, right? And he was old enough to be independent, but not cognitive enough to be independent. Mm-hmm. So I grew up seeing my parents treat him like everybody else. You know what I mean? He would come over for the week, and if he did something that was a little bit different, they would tell us how to fix it, how to work through it. You know, like, oh, well, make sure you remind him this, that, or the third. Or before you do this, also make sure you tell. I'm just gonna call him Jay. Make sure you tell Jay X, Y, and Z. You know what I mean? And so this was my brothers, this was my sisters, this was my parents. We all treated him like a normal person, which showed me that, oh, everybody's normal. We just have to do things differently. So with Corey, some of my most challenging times were when he had issues getting work. When I'm like, okay, this brother then came up from the bottom, now he here. You know what I mean? He's got his degree. He is accomplished as far as graduating at the top. And going to take him to a job interview and hearing him come back out saying, looking crazy, you know, just this look on his face that I could tell it was sort of like he was really upset, like mad, like fuming, and also kind of defeated. And so now I'm getting mad. I'm like, wait, what's up? What's going on? You know, who I got to fight? That's what I'm thinking. Not that I'm a fighter, but I'm just saying. Come to find out, you know, they're in there saying stuff like,
yeah, there's just one interview I went on. You know, it was a great opportunity, and I went in there, and as soon as I walked in with my white cane, I said, "Hi, I'm Corey State. I'm here for the job interview." They said, "Okay, hold on 1 minute." She goes in the room with a panel, and she's like, she can't even whisper. She's like, "He's blind.
He's blind." It's like I'm like,
and then they're like, "What?" And it was like,
and so Corey can hear all of this because
like,
it's not that that Corey has super hearing. It's the fact that these are people that are now treating him differently, just on sight, you know, not even knowing anything about him. So those were some of the times where I really felt it. I really felt like, no, this ain't gonna work. We got to figure something out. Not so much with Corey, you know, it wasn't he was the issue. It was that I'm like, okay, now I'm gonna have to bust the windows in somebody's car.
and I think that's one of the times too I started feeling those are some of those little reminders that happen throughout life that, you know, maybe you are, you know, half a man or less than a man because you can't get, you know, people won't see past the white cane, as I like to say. And it was got to the point where I just told the people, I said, look, they said, you have any final questions? I said, yes. I said, what are the odds you really going to give me an opportunity for this position? I said, because judge on your reactions when I first came in the room and judged on the way, you know, the questions were very truncated and you know, I gave great answers. I gave long and elaborate answers, but you guys didn't respond. I said, I can do this job. I said, you just got to give me the opportunity. I said, I have the equipment. I have the know-how. I said, I just need the opportunity. And I said, but from judging by your reaction, what are the odds that you actually are going to give me that opportunity? And they were like, well, Mr. Staten, I mean, just to be honest, there's a lot of questions that, you know, we have to consider hiring somebody with your particular situation. I said, all right. I said, well, thank you for your time. And I said, I'll look for the letter that comes in the mail. And I just got up and, you know, turned around and went out. And I did come out looking crazy, probably. And it was just really frustrating because it was like, you know, dang, you know, you saw the resume, you saw the application, you were impressed enough to call me in here based on my merit, only to send me away based on my disability. And of course, I would never be able to prove that with the Equal Opportunity Employment Commission or anything like that, because they're not going to admit to that.
Right.
And so just like I predicted, I got a little letter in the mail and said, thank you, but no, thank you. We hired someone else. And having those experiences, you know, it was like, whoosh, boy, you know.
And that was a part of the resiliency. I think having each other, because we've been together so long, you know, going through those things together, it's like, okay, if you're down, I can be up. If I'm down, you can be up for me. And we were definitely resilient that way for each other, because I've had situations where Corey, he's there, you know, he is there for me, and work-related situations, personal friends and all of that. Corey is the one that's like, nah, she for the streets. You know, that girl right there didn't mean you no good. I know that's your friend, that's your girl, and this is what you're saying. And he's always been that voice of reason for me. So, you know, just always grounding me, and it's been good in that way. And I will say that the only times where I felt like this is too much, it was when the outside forces were working on us. It wasn't necessarily, I felt like I need to leave this situation because of Corey. Like he does the regular man's husband stuff, but
Right.
I mean, he can't help that. He's a man.
Well, one of the that's sad and powerful because as a black man myself, I'm 6'5" and dark skinned. I'm chocolate number 2, like Corey, and I'm 6'5" and dark skinned. And there were trying times for me, even being an educated man myself. There were many times when I had to be resilient, didn't have jobs, didn't have employment. Actually, there were times that I lost jobs, and some of it I know was due to discrimination. Some of it was due to them being intimidated because I went to one of the best schools in the country. And, it happens a lot of times when you go to places where they look at you like you're not supposed to be that smart or that eloquent with speech. But, Corey, you are very rare, and I think you can talk to some of the younger men about being resilient in spite of. Anton talks about the victim Olympics, and it appears that even though we know that there are things that impact or more or less impede on the functioning of people due to systemic racism, you guys chose not to be victims. Corey being a black man, but also being a black man that was blind, tell me why you chose not to be a victim when you could have easily been a victim.
I think I chose not to be a victim because I realized that, like I said, thanks to having Laquita and my other family members around me, those that I mentioned in my network, and a great network of friends, helping me, just constantly reminding me the value that was within me. Because a lot of times we get caught up in the victim Olympics because the world is reminding them of who they are not. But Laquita, she's kind of like, what's her name in the Black Panther, the Angela Bassett, which is like, tell them who you are. And and so she's constantly saying, hey, show them who you are. And so that kind of gets, because like I said, I ain't gonna lie. I mean, you could talk to millions of anybody that went through vision impairment or any type of loss of bodily function. They're gonna tell you, you got one foot in the victim Olympics and one foot in the victory Olympics, every day. And so so it's just a matter of, just keep being consistent and keep running the race, like I said, and having the network of faith, family, friends, and I guess definitely starting with my wife, just reminding me of the value that's within me, and looking back on the successes that I've had. Those are the things that keep you resilient, because like I said, it's easy to focus on, like I said, like she was saying earlier, go to bed, I wake up, I go to bed in the dark, I wake up in the dark. And there are little things that are always going to be constant reminders that I am vision impaired, like the paratransit system that I use to get to work or to get the different functions or appointments. When they're 10 to 15 minutes late, is not, I remind, back when I could drive, I could just go walk to my car, turn the key, get in and drive it. Can't do that anymore. So you're always going to have those little types of reminders. But like I said, it's just a matter of, okay, but what can I do? What have I done? Where have I been successful?
And also pool your resources, like pool them as in put them together, use them. Because when Corey's saying, he can't just get in his car and pull off anymore, there was one day when we were on our way to a show, and this show was out of town, like maybe an hour and a half. My mom had come over. Luckily, this was one of those times where my mom had come over to watch the children. We get in the car, we thinking we're about to drive off,
and the alternator dies.
Yeah, the alternator was gone, so that thing was not going anywhere. So it's one of those things where you start to realize, like for Corey, okay, I can't just hop in the car. But guess what? There are other people also don't even have a car, cannot hop in the car. They got a hoopty. It ain't going to start 50% of the time, or it's always a gamble or whatever. So that's where you say, okay, what's the solution? What do I have? What can I do? And, Corey, he would call when he was first going to college, he was not on the bus line. So the paratransit system would not even come to where he was.
They would, but they called it optional. They could just drop, say, hey, we can't come get you today, click, and that was the end of my ride for that day.
Right. So things like that. And so that's where we said, okay, but what can we do? So, okay, Laquita has a car. She can drive. Her sister, her mom, my family, as in his family, would come up from Elizabeth City sometimes to take him to school. You know what I mean? So it's like, let me use what I have. When you have this many people that are willing to go the extra mile for you, it does make a difference in helping to say, okay, this foot that's in the victim Olympics, versus this foot that's in the Victory Olympics. It weighs differently. You balance yourself differently in those respects.
And it also goes to, what are you doing? Like I said, these people weren't driving from Elizabeth City or taking time out of their schedule to give me a ride to college because I was getting D's.
Yeah.
They knew the track record. They knew I was doing, well in school. They knew that this was going to be something that was going to be a stepping stone to something greater. So they were willing to invest and take the time out of their schedules to be a part of the network of friends and family that were part of the success story for me getting that degree and for doing the things I'm doing today. So yeah, it's definitely not just about, people feeling sorry for you, but it's like if you're doing something and you're accomplishing things, you're getting things done, people definitely don't mind getting behind you and investing in you in those types of ways.
Yes.
Right. Shout out to my dear friend Tinkerbell. She get an applause. My dear friend Kelly, she donated $10 to Cash App. Thank you, dear. We're going to do that show soon called the Gen X Nexus because we're going to talk about the mental impact of how the 90s impacted a lot of people. Laquita and Corey, you guys remember a time when music was music, everything was everything, families were more intact. And shout out to my man Tim Howard, whoever finds a wife finds a good thing and obtain favor from the Lord. And that is so true, Tim. And, Laquita, you personify a virtuous woman, but you remember a time when the Black nuclear family was more intact, Black men and Black women were together, you saw more Black love, and, children were a lot more happier, nothing was perfect, but the traditional Black family was more intact from the past. What happened to the Laquita of the world? What happened to the Laquitas? And do you feel like it'll ever come back again? Because, there are a lot of women that will say, you know what, I'm gone, I can't handle this. But what happened to the Laquitas of the world? And were there any dusty men, Laquita, in your ear that tried to turn you away?
Let me tell you, I can tell you, from the top of Mount Zion, the good Lord took that mold and tossed it.
That's it, huh?
And broke that mold completely.
You know what? I will say this because I don't want to give myself.
Tell me about the Dusties.
I don't want to. You already know about the Dusties, Corey. I don't want to give myself any credit because I will say that everything is a learning experience. Have I been loud and wrong? Absolutely. Why are you nodding your head? I can see. Have I been loud and wrong? Absolutely. Have older women corrected me? Yes. Right. So that has made a difference for me. I will say that, I've had other older women and I was able to be checked. So I guess part of that difference is that you just have some woman out here believing that, nah, I got it. I'm okay. I know better. You old, you don't know anything. I got it on my own. I know better because I've been walking this walk and I know me. I know men. TV has told me everything. The music has told me everything. Then you got the reality shows also guiding them and they'll follow those things before they will real life.
Right.
Real life experiences, So I think that has made the difference for me is that I was quote unquote able to be checked, as far as is there hope, for the people that are still dusty. I'm talking about the men now, Corey. I'm getting to your side.
Okay, so now you just threw me under the bus.
No.
Dusty men.
No, I threw your name in there in the same sentence.
Right.
Okay, no, let me back that up. Rewind. So what I'm trying to say is that as far as dusty men, right, that came through, I never see people as dusty. I just see people as not for me. I think the issue here, because I feel like, you know what? You got dusty women, you got dusty men. Put them together. Maybe they can figure something out. They can make a dust ball. I don't know.
Right. Or their dust cancels out the other person's dust.
Right, because I've seen that too. Where it's like some kind of way they actually improve together, or their offspring, the children improve. Now I've also seen it go a way left. Most of the time it goes the other way. However, what I'm saying is that I just try to really give people what I would want so that, okay, if you're dusty now, maybe you'll improve. If you're coming through here thinking, hey, let me holla, boo, how you doing? I'm like, oh, hey, how are you? I'm not, hey baby, I'm good. No, that's not what I'm saying back to you. I'm saying, oh hi, how are you? And then all of a sudden his demeanor changes. He's like, oh, okay, I'm good, baby. All right, you take it easy now. He moves on. He realizes that, okay, she's not talking about dusty talk. He moves on, and maybe he even talks to the next lady differently. I don't know. You know what I mean? But I will say that. Why are you smiling already? What you about to say, Corey?
Oh no, I thought you were going to add to what you were saying, because I said, dustiness comes from both sides, because because I share every story I've ever shared. Working in the bank and going to university, all the dusty women that I started becoming a dust mop.
And that's what I was about to say.
When I lost my sight, I became a dust mop.
It's more for Corey's side. Yeah. So honestly, I think Corey could even speak more to this, because honestly speaking, what I've seen is that the men are still pretty static and the women have become more volatile. I'll just be honest. From Corey's experiences, and maybe they were always this way. I just didn't know.
Right.
Maybe the women was doing this. I don't know. But
right.
Ooh, Corey has some stories.
Yeah.
Well, I want to ask you guys a question, and this is a great interview. Were there times when you felt like, Corey, I'm going to ask you and Laquita, but Corey, you first. Were there times, Laquita, where you felt like emasculating your husband because you did have power and you were a breadwinner? And Corey, did you ever feel emasculated by your wife at the times when she was, becoming a nurse and making money?
I would say not by anything that she said or did, but just by my own standards that I was gauging by society. It was kind of like, well, dang, again, less than a man, because she's going out. Laquita, to this day, she could walk out the door and trip over a job as a nurse, and and make a lot buku money. Right. And me, I could go out there and dive into a job pool and then come out just as dry as I did when I jumped in, because like I said, it's hard to get people to see past the whole different disability thing. Right. So were there times? Yeah, it was hard. There were times when when I wasn't working, and then I actually had to watch her go out and work overnight and come home, and then she's doing things helping to run the business at the same time. It was kind of like, well, dang, nobody else is doing this. Nobody else is going through this. And, and that's when I had both feet in the Victim Olympics running then at the time. But then, of course, Laquita always had this way of turning things around just by, reminding me, like, hey, man, come on now. We got this. We have to prepare this presentation for this company. Or, hey, man, we got to we got a road tour we got to go on. And we got to figure out where we're going to stay, what hotels we're going to stay in, how we're going to pull this off, who's going to be the nanny while we're on the road, things like that. And it's like, okay, now I'm getting into that problem solving side of things as a man, which is where we tend to reside in our minds. So now I don't feel as emasculated anymore in this situation. And like I said, but it's never of anything that was of her doing, as much as it is the societal standards that I was equivocating myself to and not feeling I was living up to that, meeting that challenge.
Right. Laquita, were you ever tempted to emasculate your husband, being a sole breadwinner? Were there women whispering in your ear saying, girl, you ain't got to listen to him? Were there dusty men trying to turn you against your husband, saying, listen, I can do better? How did you deal with all three of those scenarios? The dusty men that were trying to get you to turn against your husband, say you can get better, the women that were telling you not to listen to your husband, but also maybe family members. How did you deal with all those different outside influences? Because you are very resilient. Corey is extremely resilient, but I think you are as resilient as Corey in so many ways, because you have been his mantle and his queen in spite of the brokenness that he unfortunately experienced at 19. So it's a loaded question, but if you can answer those questions, please do.
No, you know what? I'll just tackle each one at a time. The dusties, the women, and the family members, right? So let's start with the dusties. I think the cool thing is, Tim Howard said she's staring at him while he's talking. Very suspicious. Ha ha. And you know what, Tim? I will say this. So I'll answer Tim Howard's question first, because it's there on the screen. Whenever Corey is talking, I will say that is one of the ways I make sure that other people know that this is the man. he's speaking, this is where the attention goes, right? So whenever Corey's speaking, I tend to step back a little bit, lean back if necessary.
Right.
If we're in public, I do the same thing, kind of step back and just look at him. Because people in public, they think they don't really know. They talk to both of us, or they are talking to Corey
through her.
Yeah, and these are people that don't know us very well. So like if we're in a professional situation, right, we tend to be those places all the time because we work together a lot. So those people will talk to him, but then they wind up kind of directing it to me. And then I'll say something like, oh, okay, well, Corey, you can take that. I'll step back. I'll look at him, and they realize, oh, okay, so it's fine to direct questions to him because they weren't trying to be rude. They just really didn't know. So we definitely educate people in that way, as far as we don't want to make other people feel uncomfortable. So we're like, okay, we just live in life. We're really lighthearted because really bad things have already happened to us. So why keep, staying down there? So back to the Dusties, the same thing with them. I'm like, look, I'm already in a marriage. I see how much work this is. What do I look like taking all the time to get out of that to come over here with you and then find out a whole bunch of mess? Nope. I don't think so.
The short answer that I give to my Dusties is, look, I got enough of a headache at home. I don't need another one out in the streets. So that's basically what she's saying. Corey's enough of a problem by himself.
All by himself. All by himself.
I don't need any problems from anybody else. Go ahead.
Right. And not only is he a problem all by himself, Corey is really great. He's quite fantastic. I'm not going to tell the Dusties that, because what they like to hear is, oh, well, what he doing? So they can lie and say they can do it or whatever. I don't know. All I know is I don't have time for it. Let me keep it pushing. On to the women. I find that the women were more curious, not so much. Why are you already laughing?
At your grandma.
Oh my goodness. Yeah. So here's a good story. Here's a great story. Now, my grandmother, keep in mind,
80-something years old at the time.
Yeah, because my grandmother, when she passed away, she was in her 90s, like 95, 96. And I remember her mother, like I remember my great grandmother. So we about to get married. Corey and I drove down to South Carolina to pick her up because we were getting married on a cruise. And grandma, of course, she's not driving, but she's coming on the cruise. So I was like, all right, Corey, we got to go pick up my grandma. Corey's like, all right, I love to drive. It's one of my favorite things to do. So Corey's okay with the road. And at this point, we've been together a long time, already 8 years. So we go drive to get grandma, and she's here and she's talking to different family members. And I was, this was at my
bachelorette party.
Yeah. First of all, grandma, what you doing at a bachelorette party? You're in your 80s. And then there was something that was happening and grandma said, but can he do it? And so, meaning, can he have relations? Can he do the do? Is he successful? And so that's pretty much where the women are.
I was like, my optic nerve ain't that long.
It ain't affected.
It didn't affect. It didn't affect. It didn't have the reach to affect anything that will affect that.
Right. And so so that's what the women always want to know, because
and then the opposite side, that the Dusties I get, they have the same question: is, well, can he do it? And if so, how? And they try in various ways. And I'm like, this is reserved for Laquita Marie.
Right. And so that's where we are with those people. And really from family members, I feel like because we came from a family that was sort of like, well, whatever goes, okay, this is what's happening now. Yep, let's just deal with it. Let's just manage it. Everybody's got their stuff. So you just figure out how to work with it. And so my family, they knew Corey when he could see and then when he couldn't see. Some of my nieces and nephews, because I'm like next to the youngest of 9 children, then my nieces and nephews were old enough so that Corey, he could see some of them. They remember him. But, and at this time they're young, they're children. But children are they're really resilient, of course. They kind of show you what to do, as far as, hey, check this out, Uncle Corey. And then he's like, okay, well, show it to me. Bring it. Let me put it in my hand. What is it? Tell me about it. So he's telling them, tell me about it. Put it in my hand. And then they understand how to interact and change. And it also teaches the adults what to do.
And I think one of the greatest compliments I ever got was from my niece. And I don't have brothers and sisters, so all my nieces and nephews are on her side of the family. My niece
He
called.
claims most of them.
My niece called me. She was in elementary school, maybe 3rd grade, and she said, "Uncle Corey, can you do me a favor?" I said, "Sure, baby. What is it?" I said, "Well, you want me to buy you something?" She said, "No." She said, Can you come with me to Donuts and Dads at school?" She said, "Because I want you to be there." I said, so I got the phone. I said, "I don't know what to do with this, Laquita." I said, because her dad.
She got a dad.
She got a dad. And then I said, okay, so I said, what about you? She said, well, I know he probably won't be able to come, or he probably won't come. She said, so can you come and be there for me for Donuts and Dads? And so I went, and she came and sat with me, was walking me around, introducing me to her friends and the staff. And they were like, "Oh, we hear so much about you. Oh, you're the famous Uncle Corey." I said, "I don't even do anything." But it was the fact that I paid her attention and made her feel special whenever she was around. She told me that years later. And it was like, I was like, wow.
Because she's an adult now.
Yeah, she's an adult
24.
Something like that.
Yeah.
And to this day, she'll call me sometimes and ask me advice. I still get nieces and nephews calling me and asking me different things. And that makes you feel appreciated. It makes you feel loved. And, and those are some of the things. The Queen's family has been great as far as that's concerned. And they started with my father-in-law, my mother-in-law, because really, I remember the day I went to ask for, I was traditional. I wouldn't ask for her hand in marriage. I went to talk to her father and her mother first before I proposed to her. And I said, man, he probably gonna say no, and it's probably, I was just nervous. And I went back there and I talked to him in the pastor's study. And I laid out,
my intentions.
I laid out my intentions to ask.
I thought you were at the house.
No, I was at that.
At the church. Okay.
Yeah, I kind of played safe in the Lord would protect me, But I said, and I told him I wanted to ask her to marry me, and I said I just want.
So did he ask you anything about being blind?
He said, and I bought that. I said I know a lot of concerns about me as a husband not being able to see, and then he said, son, he said, your ability to see or not see has nothing to do with how we look at you as a person that wants to marry our daughter. He said, because there are plenty of men out here that can see that we definitely would not want her to be married to. He said, so all I'm gonna say is welcome to the family.
Oh, powerful, man. That's powerful.
Yeah. And I ain't even gonna lie, I cried when he said that. He said, welcome to the family.
Right.
And we sat there and we hugged, and I hugged her mom. And then I came and she's like, what was y'all back there talking about? I said, don't worry about it. You find out. And then you won't fuss it.
I'm always nosy. Yeah. I can't, and I have a bad memory.
So I proposed to her a few days later. And that's the history of that. But it was, like I said, her family's been great about this whole situation.
Right. So the expiring matriarch asked a question. She said, Corey, did your diagnosis affect your libido or feeling of attractiveness? If yes, what did it take for you to feel masculine in that space? Well, I'll say this, Ray Charles didn't have a problem. He was blind. Ray Charles was knocking him down. He was knocking him down. So I'm sure that didn't impact Corey in any way, because he remembered Laquita as the 19-year-old beauty, and I'm sure he still loves her. So they got 3 beautiful girls, so I don't think that impacted Corey anyway. But I'll let Corey answer the question. But before Corey answers the question, guys, get the likes up. Please share this content. And thank you to the people that have donated to the show tonight, to Tim Howard. Shout out to that brother. And my dear friend Tinkerbell. I love My Vivid Life. And once again, we're going to have a show at some point called the Gen X Nexus, because life began to take a precipitous turn for the worse, it appears, after the 90s or during the 90s. And I would say that Laquita, Corey, and I experienced the benefits of having both the traditional aspect, as I said earlier, but also the more modern aspect as it relates to progressivism. But Corey, I want you to answer the question. And did you ever feel unmasculine because you lost your eyesight?
No, not at all. Because if anything, the Laquita part, so in that department, I got more worrisome after I couldn't see. Because
let's just put it this way. I wouldn't say worrisome as much as I would say creative.
Right. And definitely because I had to be close to her, and different levels because of the nature of having to move and get around. And she probably gonna slap me later, fuss me later, but Quita got this walk. It's like, it make you seasick. And so I was
I'm
sitting
not doing all of that.
No, I mean it's just natural. And I mean, man, and I'm just imagining how the walk looks from what I can remember. So yeah, that part never was affected to me. And in that department, like I said, the recruiter said, get more creative. And I mean that stuff happens in the dark most of the times anyway. And unless you me, then it can happen anytime, day or night, whatever. But
right.
I'll just answer like this. Janet Jackson said, anytime, any place. That's my mantra. Because Jody gonna have a hard time coming up in here and matching anything that Chocolate Thunder ever tried. They're gonna have to be an alien to outdo me. So
Yeah, that's powerful, man. And you know what, man? They always say Capricorns act like they're modest, but Capricorns got that freak side on the bedside. Capricorns got that freak side on the bedside, so they act modest, but they got that freak side. Look at Laquita laughing, but I'm so proud to see couples like you and Corey. I think you guys give some of the younger people hope. Corey, I want you to talk to the young men about the importance of being a man in these modern times. And then Laquita, I want you to talk to the young ladies that are listening, the importance of being a woman, being feminine, and honoring and obeying your husband even when he's down. Because it appears that there's a partition of women that more or less see men only as a commodity. They don't see him as a human being. But I can tell by the beaming love and joy in your eyes, Laquita, that you love your husband. You always have that big, warm smile, and your voice is so soft and warming. And, Corey, tell the men the importance about being resilient even when you're down. I want you to tell the men about why that's so important.
Well, it's important because life is going to always throw you a curveball. You always going to have something. It doesn't have to be that you're blind. It could be that, the economy takes a downturn like you spoke of earlier, employment, loss of employment. It could be, the loss of a family member. It could be a number of things that can be a curveball that's thrown at you, whether it's something that maybe you find yourself, facing diabetes because you didn't take care of yourself earlier in life. There are things that's going to come your way that you may have, brought upon yourself, or that may have circumstances that may occur to you. You have to be prepared and be resilient, because if you're not, you're just going to stay stuck in a state that you just can't get out of, because life is never fair. Life is never going to be fair. It's never going to be fair. And like I said, I learned a lot just by playing sports, playing football. Every play is an opportunity to score a touchdown.
Yeah.
But if you going to concentrate on that fumble, or you can concentrate on that interception you threw, or that tackle that you missed, that block that you missed, then you're going to stay stuck focusing on that so much, you're not going to be effective on the next play. So how they say, shake it off and get ready to run the next play. And that's the mentality I take. You think about it for a while, but then you say, okay, what did I learn from that experience? Because as long as you're learning, you can keep playing. You stay in the game. You can get off the bench and stay in the game. But when you stop learning and you stop growing in those areas, then yes, you're gonna find yourself on the bench of life, and just you're gonna be stuck there, riding the pine. And I never wanted to ride the pine when I played football. I don't want to ride the pine in my real life. And like I said, and I got a lot to play for sitting over here next to me, and in other parts of the house, my 3 girls. That's why I have to be resilient. And like I said, and let me say this, and I'm going to turn it over to Laquita. Resiliency doesn't mean something happens to you and then you get over it the next hour, the next day, the next week. Sometimes it takes a long time for you to get past and define that resiliency, because it just depends on the nature of the circumstances. Sometimes, the resiliency is fluid. Sometimes you are resilient in that situation, and sometimes you get back in that victim Olympics pool again. Right. But it's just a matter of.
Did you say you got to take a dip in the victim Olympics?
I should get back in that victim Olympics pool.
I thought you said take a dip in that victim Olympics.
What I say to men is, don't do what I did. Allow yourself, and Laquita's probably going to reach over and slap me again. Allow yourself to feel sorry for yourself a little while, but also talk it out with somebody about your feelings. Maybe you don't want to open up to somebody that's as close to you as Laquita, but you got to find somebody to talk to.
Hold on, is that the part I'm gonna slap you on?
The whole thing.
Oh.
But you got to find somebody to talk to, because if you don't, you're gonna stay bottled up, and that's how you end up staying in the victim Olympics. And I found it out the hard way that if you don't talk to somebody, you get trapped in your own mind,
You do.
Right.
and that's when you end up doing stupid stuff or saying stuck on stupid, as people like to say. So yeah, definitely resiliency is important so that you can keep moving forward.
Right. Laquita, before you answer that, I want to more or less reflect what GDO said, and it's true. GDO said this is a tearjerker, and you're correct, brother. It warms my heart. What a powerful love story. Bless you both. And I concur. It's very warm and endearing to hear a woman that supports her man, even in dark times, a woman that's holding him down when she could have easily walk away. A woman that could have said, I don't need you. I'm strong and independent. I'm a nurse, popping her neck. I make plenty of money.
Right.
And Laquita, you did a great job, you and Kelly, talking about the man tree. And also the Lady Paco, and I did a show talking about the death of the man tree. Did you ever get tempted, and maybe I think you already answered the question, but did you ever get tempted to say, you know what, I'm a nurse, I can do better? Or will you always say, you know what, I'm going to be loyal to my vows? Were you ever tempted to say, you know what, I'm a nurse, I'm making all this money, I can do better? Or did you say, regardless hell or high water, I'm going to honor my vows?
I'll answer it this way. And first, I do want to go back to the part I was going to slap Corey on. I don't slap Corey. He doesn't slap me, just so y'all know. But I would. That's not what that lump came from. Corey has that lump because it's a shunt on his head. He got that knot.
Oh, is this
Anyway. But Corey was saying that because I'm always like, well, Corey, you got to talk to somebody. Well, tell me, well, what about this? What about that? So I am always on Corey about, okay, if I see something's going on and he's not saying anything and we can't move forward, that's where I'm always like, okay, well, you better go talk to Mike. You better figure this out because we got to do X, Y, Z. Like, we still have to move forward. So that's the part he was probably talking about. Did I get it right?
Yeah, and I think that's less. So
wait. So then if you said yes, I'm going to ask the question again, and you say yes, so we have it on film. So I was right, Corey? See, this is what I'm talking about. This is what we go through.
You're exactly right. And I think that, again, that's less, it's a combination of, being vision impaired, but also being not one to be, quote unquote, an extra burden with my emotional despair or my emotional situation I'm going through, the things I'm experiencing, but not realizing that in those moments, by me shutting down and going internal, I'm still becoming a burden because she can't, be a part of the solution. And if we're not getting the solutions done, we're going to stay stuck in this stupid situation. So
I'm going to move forward with that example to give you an example of why I have not felt like I'm making all this money. Let me just go. Right. So being a nurse, yeah, you can make lots of money. It's great. However, if you like money, money for me is not like, this is the only, this is the end goal. Money is a popular topic these days, but I've always been able to get what I wanted, what I needed in different ways, not just money. So for example, why are you laughing already? This sounds like I'm walking the streets or something.
Yeah, that sounded criminal what you said.
Okay, yeah, let me clean this up because this ain't going on. Let me stop. Let me back up.
You're always going to the left.
I know. Okay, so let me fix it. Money isn't everything because I prefer to make my money the way I want to make my money. So that being said, Corey was like, we started our company, right? So wow, let's do storytelling, stage plays. Let's go and travel and speak to different people, see new people all the time, see new places, find new coffee shops, have a lot of lunch dates and all this kind of stuff. I would much rather make my money that way than, than sitting up here trying
You got to resuscitate Miss Jones.
Yeah, like I remember, oh my goodness, there's been some crazy stuff that I have seen that you can't unsee. You can't unhave these experiences, right? And whereas all of the bad times that I've had on stage or with Corey, like there was one time, they've been good. So there was one time both Corey and I were sick. This was maybe 5 or 6 years ago. And bravo, was Sheila talking about Capricorns are dangerous. Anyways.
Bad.
Back to what I was saying. So we were both sick, but we were sick on 2 different days. And it was weird. It was just like, we just felt like a dog. Like the first day, Corey felt like a dog. No, I felt like
You
a
felt
dog.
like a dog first.
And the second day, Corey felt like a dog. And I mean, we felt bad to the point where we had a workshop the first day. We, this company had, this organization had brought us out here to, anyway, they brought us out. Somebody said he's an early riser and a watchman. Laquita's a lucky woman. So,
yeah, you know, what can I say?
Yes. So anyways, yes, I agree with that, Gideo. So anyhow, we were, the company had brought us out there. We were supposed to do a workshop the first day, and whatever we taught, we were going to perform on the second day. And this was like a historical society. They brought us out here and all this good stuff. Okay, great. So the first day I was like, man, Corey, I feel bad. So we were both running the workshop, but mainly him. I was like, I'm gonna just kind of sit, you just, work it. And we talked about it. We talked about, what are we going to do? What's the plan? Okay, let's open with this. Let's move into that. Let's finish with this. Now, a lot of times if we have a performance coming up, a presentation coming up, I have to be the one to initiate the plan. So that's where I'm like, no, Corey, look, regardless, this thing is coming. The date is coming. We have to deliver. I'm gonna need you to actually start the plan. Don't wait for me to start the plan. And that's when he'll be like, oh, well, I was feeling bad about the last time when I didn't start the plan. I'm like, well, how's you feeling bad about the last plan gonna help us move forward in the next plan if you don't start the next plan? So, that's one of those situations where, like he said, he'll get caught up in his emotions like, oh, shucks, I dropped the ball, or I did this, or whatever. See, now he put that mind. Okay, yes.
What?
I said, haha, I'm learning from a clinician that us Capricorns have that freak side on the bedside. I said, that's my story. I'm sticking to it. He put it up on the screen.
And I'm going to also ask you guys a question. Quila, hold to that point.
Sure.
But I want to ask you, how does Corey type? How do y'all do that? It's like y'all a musician.
Oh, it's me. Corey.
Yo, he's talking about right now.
Right. So
when she was,
I don't see you typing. So what are you doing?
I got it, and it's actually Corey that gave me the solution. So go ahead, Corey.
Go ahead.
Oh no, I didn't mean to take over. That's but what I was say is when Laquita was a panelist on one of your previous live broadcasts, and I was in the comments, I typed using a software called JAWS, and this JAWS stands for Job Access with Speech, and basically what it does it tells me. It reads to me. It's a screen reader. It reads to me what's on the screen for the most part, if it's text, and it also. I can set it to by keystroke or by words or phrases. It'll, as I'm typing, it's echoing what I'm typing. So if I type DOG for dog, it'll say DOG.
Yeah.
Or I can set it so I type DOG, then it says dog, and so that I know the word is correct. And then it also lets me spell check. I'm able to do web searches. I do the contact for guests on a live show. I actually use Google Calendar to schedule guests, to put things on the calendar for our personal lives, and I use it for email as well. So right now,
and Corey has had to use email at his jobs, which helped us in our business and helped us in our personal lives to figure that out. Like, oh, at work, I figured out how to reply to all easily. So let me make sure I can easily do that at home. But go ahead.
And so one of my computers did not have a traditional, I call it QWERTY. The QWERTY calls it a QWERTY keyboard, but it didn't have a traditional QWERTY keyboard with enough keys for me to do all my talking software commands. So I had to get a USB keyboard as a separate attachment, and I used that to type on that particular laptop. So when it comes to doing live broadcasts, I gave Laquita that USB keyboard, and so she has it down low
it's on my lap.
On her lap. She's typing that way using the USB keyboard that's attached to her laptop.
Yeah. So yeah, that's it. So, and the other thing is that because of our presentation style, like we're so used to working in tandem and paying attention to all the different details at once, then if I'm looking at the comments so that I can respond, then I'm looking at the comments, but not staring at them, not leaning in, not being too obvious, all of those sort of things. And so that's where I just say, okay, how do we just keep all of this very comfortable so that I'm not constantly just looking down, buried in the keyboard, and then I'm coming up for air, or so that I'm obviously over here into the comments and then back over here to Corey or back over here to you guys. All of that is just part of the.
Laquita's an android, for real. Let me just tell you that. She can see one thing with her left eye and then see something else totally different somewhere else with her right eye.
That's called being a woman, being
called
really
being an
nosy.
android, and she can see through her nostrils, her teeth. She got eyes on her teeth. I'm like, how do you see all that going on at one time?
I'm telling you, it's and
what? Always seeing me. I know it was you.
Laquita got that nosy nose.
Yeah, she's like, she's like, Corey.
That's what I got.
She's like, Corey, stop going into the cashews and eating all the cashews. I'm like, how you know it was me? I know it was you, cause see, I had the container set like this. When I got back, it was like that.
Right.
I was like, dang.
Right.
So here's the thing. I can answer that question from JP. Also, I think we kind of touched on that to where she asked about our connectedness, like if we feel each other's presence and whatnot. And for the most part, I will definitely say we're aware of each other. We do spend a lot of time together. Corey's a light sleeper. I am not. However, if it's Corey, I'll wake up. I'm like, he moves, I can move. Or if not, I feel safe. I feel comfortable. I'm a rock. And Corey will tell me, man, there was a hailstorm. The house was on fire. I took you and the girls out. And once they put it out, I moved us back. I'm like, oh, all that happened, So I can be as light or as heavy a sleeper because I'm confident, I'm secure. And it's a great feeling in that. So as far as this is concerned, it's just from what your prior question was, the question that you were asking that I was supposed to answer was regarding, help me out, Corey.
I forgot.
Because you just answered it.
It was something to do about with I forgot.
Do you remember, Coach and Clinician, the last question you asked?
I forgot what the last. I know we were talking about. Yeah, I forgot. It was a loaded question. I think we were talking about.
Oh, it was we're talking about family and friends. The Dusties, the family, and the friends. And
no, I finished that. That was a long time ago.
Yeah, she finished that.
Okay.
I guess what I would say. The question was, what would you tell young modern women about the importance of standing by your man in difficult times when it's so easy to give up? What would you tell modern women about the importance of standing by your man in times when it's so easy to give up, Laquita, because you could have easily given up?
True.
So what would you tell the modern woman? Because many modern women would say, girl, I would have left him. But you stood by your man. You took care of him.
You know what?
Right.
Yeah. And definitely I will, and I tell people this now, like, look at where you are, look at what you have in anything, whether it's a cake, whether it's a man. And because most people, they will drop something like, let's just say the 3-second rule. People will drop food on the ground and pick it up in 3 seconds and save that thing.
Kiss it up to God.
Kiss it up to God, and say, ooh, okay, and all this other stuff. And they will save that thing. And it's like, wait a minute. That is very easily replaceable. Matter of fact, there's a whole platter right over there. And then they will go and throw a whole person away. You know what I mean? Because what they're looking at is, dang, I really wanted that. I had a handful of Skittles and I dropped 6 and now you're trying to grab a whatever. So, it's one of those things where it's like, well, wait a minute. You would rather recover food and not people. So that's where I look at what you laughing at, because that's the truth.
Yeah, it's funny though.
It's funny when you say it out loud, because it's like, well, wait a minute. Things happen to people too. So the same way with Corey, he was his vision fell off, right? And so it's like, well, let me pick that up and kiss it up to God. Let me save that thing. Let me see what else I got left of it. You know how people will say, well, it fell on this side. That's the part I'm gonna break off. I'm gonna throw that away and I'm gonna keep this. That's what you got to do with people too. If you can pick it up and dust it off, you keep it. If you got to break it and throw a part of it away, okay, fine. We're not even going to act like you can see. We're not going to act like we can pick that up because we can't. But what we can do is work with what we have. Corey, you can talk. So I'm going to need you to say some things. So that's where when Corey handles our financial conversations, because I'm like, it's a man's world, Corey. And he's like, oh yeah, it sure is. And what does Corey do? You know, people say, what that mouth do? Look, so Corey's mouth does a lot of things, and financial responsibility is one of them. You will have those conversations.
Freak side by the bedside.
Yeah.
Shout out to my man GDO. Thank you, brother. This is a true love story that should be on the big screens. If you guys reach out to Hollywood and Tyler Perry, how can we replicate Laquita? Well, Laquita is definitely a rare gem. And shout out to my man Shannon Rawls. Thank you, brother. I'm looking forward to doing a show with you soon. Mini show. Shannon and I was on King Talk on the LaPeep show, and that's my homie. Actually, me and Shannon saw looking like we got that brown chocolate swag. We got that brown chocolate swag. But I'm 6'5", Shannon's 6'2". But shout out Shannon. Thank you, brother. Blessings to house. Keep the conversation going, no doubt, brother. And I look forward to doing some collaboration with you, coming on to support you. And also you, Laquita, Tinkerbell, and all of us, and JP doing the show called the Gen X Nexus. So I'm looking forward to it. So thank you, brother. I really appreciate the super chat, brother. Thank you, sir. So this is a beautiful love story, you know. And we're going to have a couple of guests come up for a few seconds to ask you guys a question. Then I got to sign off. I got a client I got to see. You know, I be getting that money in late at night. You know, that's that Leo swag. You know, because that Leo swag getting that money in on the night shift. But, you know, Corey, you know, I'm going to take it back to Laquita too. But Laquita, we talk about male mental health. And this channel and this show is for men, you know. And so I thank God for the good sisters like you, My Vivid Life, my dear friend Sorrel Bay with Pillow Talk. But this channel is a men's channel. And sometimes we don't say the things that women want to hear. And I'm not going to do that. And even though I love you guys, my channel is dedicated to male rights issues. And so to the ladies that are listening, I love you guys. But I would never compromise who I am as a therapist, but also my burning desire to empower men. But Laquita, let me ask you this question. What did it do to you mentally? Because you know, Corey went through a lot of mental challenges, but, you know, it's like you were doing the role of a wife, but also like a surrogate in a way to Corey to help guide him around. But you had 3 babies. How did you raise 3 babies, become a nurse, guide your husband, cook? How did you do all of that? Because you got some women that complain about, they complain, and they got men that can see and they work and they do traditional stuff and they work hard and they still traditional, but your husband couldn't see. So how did Laquita do all of that? You juggled raising 3 babies. You know, how did you do all of that?
It wasn't, you know what? And so that's the thing. That's where I'm saying, you know, you pool your resources. So let's say, for example, when we started, we were both young, right? We were both 17 and young. And so I was getting my nursing license. Why are you shaking your head now?
I was 16.
Okay, so see, this is what I'm saying. Corey doesn't want to talk until it's time to say the wrong thing. I'm a little teeny bit older than Corey. All right, let's make it plain. We were born in the same year. I was born just a few months before him. So anyways, back to what I was saying. So we were young. Corey was at radiology school. I was in nursing school. I finished my nursing license. And Corey used to bring me flowers at my job. You know, Corey would come up there, bring me lunch, and work in the evening shift. I worked 3 to 11. He would get off work. He would come check me out, all of that good stuff. So then he lost his sight, right? So it's like, okay, he loses his sight. We still have our families because we're young. So we're still children at this point. We have both of our parents. He has his cousins, his extended family. His grandmother would come and stay with him, spend time with him. His uncle, he would go to their homes and whatnot. So I really didn't realize that, oh, wow, I'm in this thing alone. I never had to do that. Even to this day, if I need my mom, she's still alive. My parents are still there. They're still very active in our lives. If we want them to be, if we need them to be, even when we don't want them to be, right? And so, and I say when we don't want them to be is because I'm like, we don't need a lot of things. You know, what does my mom do? Every year, she comes over with a Santa Claus bag for each child with their names on it. All I have to do is wrap the gifts. So I'm not out doing the Christmas shopping. She's saying, hey, they got turkeys on sale if I want to cook a Thanksgiving turkey. I've got friends over here saying this. I've got sisters over there doing that. And the other thing is, I was following my husband. So this is where I was going earlier when I was saying that, yeah, I was a nurse and I could have made a lot of money, but I would rather be on stage. So when Corey said, hey, let's start this business, I didn't know where it would go, but it was fun. It was intriguing. So I always worked my nursing schedule around that thing, around our Tumpan entertainment, around our storytelling business. And then it's flourished. It's grown in different ways, and it's taken us to different places that nursing could have taken us. But being a nurse, I would have been confined to specific hours because, sure, as a travel nurse, I could have made a lot of money and gotten extra money with all the money they give you for housing, food, and all of that kind of stuff, right? However, as an educator and a storyteller with Corey, this is where we were able to travel, have those same expenses taken care of, and my mom would travel with us. She was the nanny. So my children are growing up with their grandmother. His mom traveling with us. They're growing up with their grandparents.
That was an adventure by itself.
Right. Because
all right. So for dinner, they had a donut, some ice cream, and 3 cookies on the side.
Right. But I gave them some apple juice, so they had some fruit. So I've definitely had a lot of good problems in that respect. And that's where, we all have those choices, because it definitely was not easy though to work overnight and get off work and say, oh, I got a 9 o'clock show. I just got off work at 7 o'clock. However, on the other hand, you can look at it as I just got off of work 8 hours and I'm about to go work for 1 hour and make what I made in those 8 hours, or make half of what I made in those 8 hours. Usually it was pretty much what I made or more. Mm-hmm. And so, you can look at what I don't have, which, oh man, I don't have the luxury of coming home and going right to sleep. Or you can look at the other side. Oh, I have the opportunity to just wake up and go make this chunk of change. And I'm with the person that I love. And everything is not just about love. This is with the person that is holding me down, is respecting me, is giving me charity, is giving me hope, is giving me all these different things. And I'm doing the same for them. So now
Laquita, I want you to pause. I want you, because you said something that's very important. I don't want to lose train of thought. So don't lose your train of thought. So hold with that. But you said something that's very prolific. You said it takes more than just love. And so many women get married based on the premise of love. I want you to tell the young women that are listening why it takes more than an emotion called love, because the emotion called love is actually very fickle. And see, a lot of women don't understand that Laquita's love to her husband actually is the kind of love that a man wants, because you did things, Laquita, when you didn't feel like doing it. Yeah. So that's the true measure of love, when a woman can do things outside of her feelings. But I want you to tell the audience why you said that love is not as important as it takes more than just love. And then I'm going to let the panel come in a few minutes, then we're going to shut it down. But go ahead. All right.
Well, I'll keep it brief, because I know we're winding down to the end. And, when you just said that, I did things when I didn't want to, I just thought that was life. That's what I saw growing up. People doing things because they had to be done, not because it felt good. Like I saw my brothers cutting grass. I was glad I didn't have to cut grass. I saw my brothers doing other things that I did not have to do, so that when we got home, us girls could just get right through the corn, go into the house, lay down if we wanted to, whatever we had to do, take a bath, curl our hair, whatever. My brothers had to unload. We were never asked to do that. I know they didn't want to do it, and they did not come to us and say, we had to stay out there. Now we're tired. Y'all get to go right to sleep. Nope, they didn't do that. And so it taught me, you do things because they have to be done, and also because it helps the group. You don't do it because this is going to help you look better. You don't throw it back in the other person's face. You just do it because it needs to be done. Eventually, everything helps you anyways. Whatever you give, you get. So I look at it, I just look at it from that respect.
That's powerful. To the 21 that are listening, if you want to ask Laquita and Corey any questions, please feel free to pop in. But before I drop the link, you guys have a series on your show called My Marriage Needs Help. I want you to talk to the audience about why you guys chose that segment. And is that fictitious, or is it art imitating life?
Art imitating life.
Because I'm gonna just put it frankly. Right. She get on my nerves. I get on her nerves. Boom. But we got to figure out a way to get through getting on our nerves.
Right.
And so we say, okay, I'm pretty sure this is not an uncommon thread to some of the things we want to talk about. So let's let's make it a series and get people to come in, like the coach clinician. We had coach clinician Anton Daniels. We've had Coffee Talking Tech and J.A. Smith to come in. So we're
Over the top WME.
El Wapo has been there. So My Vivid Life has been there. So we've definitely had some all-star panelists come on and bring their opinions and bring a value in their input into the conversation. And it helps because it does give you a different perspective. Like, oh, I'm not crazy. I'm not the only person that's going through. I'm not the only person that's thinking this way or feeling this way. I'm not, I'm not a unicorn in this situation. And I'm not saying it from my perspective. I'm just saying just a couple's perspective in general, because you're hearing things that you didn't know were going on in other people's, minds or lives. They're sharing in that space.
So I'll give a concrete example as well. Communication is always a big thing for us, especially Corey has a communications degree. What is Corey doing? Not communicating, right? And it's not just that he's not communicating, but it's bigger than that. What is he communicating about? What is he not communicating about? Why is he not communicating these things? Same thing here. I think I'm communicating. I think I'm over communicating. I think I'm doing a fabulous job. And then come to find out, what are the other couples saying? The ladies are saying, yeah, sometimes we can do too much. Then that's when it's called nagging. That's why the men are like not responding. This is why the men are saying, why do you think I'm stupid? And it's like, oh, that's what you think? No, we're just repeating ourselves because we talk a lot. We can listen to ourselves say the same thing over and over. We can look in the mirror and talk. Matter of fact, we could just sit in the dark and talk, And so those sorts of things. So we said, look, let's do this. Let's open it up. Let's open it up to other folks. So communication, there was something that happened one day and Corey thought one thing. And I'm like, well, why'd you think that? And of course he thought this because he thought this. And I'm like, but XYZ. And then once we talked about it, we were like, you know what, let's bring this topic to the panel. Let's bring it and let's bring some examples with it. And then you start to get everybody else's perspective. And if more people did this, they would also realize that their relationship with whoever they're with, it's not unique. You do not need to go and escape your situation because you believe that you're the only one dealing with this. You also might figure out that you're not in a volatile situation. This is normal. You could respond differently. You might also realize that, oh yeah, you are in a volatile situation. Don't roll with that. But working through it, talking with other people makes a difference.
Well, that's powerful. That is very powerful, and you guys will be an inspiration to many young people that are learning to traverse through marriage, because marriage is not a journey, a destination. It's a journey, and it's hills and valleys, victories and failures. So, was that over the top?
Yeah, you know what? I forgot we're working on a project together, and I forgot we are still working in tandem. And I was like, oh shoot. When I turned the camera off, I was like, oh shoot, we still have her icon up because we were doing a project together.
Right. So it's about 4 minutes after the hour, 10 o'clock. Are there people that want to pop up in a few seconds and ask Corey and Laquita any questions related to their relationship? I've dropped the link. I can give you guys up to about 5 minutes because I have to go. But Laquita and Corey, this is such a powerful story. Corey, Teddy Pendergrass wrote a song back in the day and said, you inspired me. He talked about the Mona Lisa. Tell me how your wife inspires you. How does Laquita inspire you?
All right. Well, Laquita's gonna step out for a minute and she'll be right back.
Okay,
but
that's fine.
We like I said before, an example before, she inspires me by reminding me, again, show them who you are, and just remind me of the value that's within me. How how my talent is, reminding me of how, just constantly building me up as a person, saying, Corey, you got this. Don't doubt yourself. Go in there, knock them dead, and we're gonna come out on top on this one. And that's how she inspires me. And again, I gave the example about me going from community college to university. Even when it came to formulating our business, I was like, I don't know. Why would people want to listen to me on YouTube? Why would they want to hear what's interesting about me? And then she just reminds me, she's like, Corey, think of all the things that you've gone through and all the things that you've accomplished. She said, you have an amazing story and you need to share it. So she's always reminding me that as a person, I have, not just as a man, but as a person, I have value, and I just have to keep remembering that when I step out into these public spaces.
Right, no doubt. That's very true. That's very true. So Corey has told the story of resilience, the story of pain, the story of hope, but also the story of despair. Tim had dropped the link. If there's anyone that would like to pop on in the next 5 minutes and ask Corey a question as it relates to relationship and being blind, feel free to do so. If there's anyone, go ahead.
I'm an open book. So like I said, no question is a dumb question, and you can't ask the question once you leave. So go ahead and ask.
Right. And Corey, I did this because I know that male mental health is paramount in this community, and a lot of time it goes unchecked, it goes unknown, it goes undiscussed, and because of that, Corey, many men suffer in silence because they don't have the proper recourse to help them deal with the mental pathologies they're dealing with. So is there anyone that would like to ask Corey a question about the trials and the tests that he's been through? Feel free to pop on because, it's very important. So GDO said their union is complementary as opposed to mostly adversarial ones out there. They're not competing with each other in their marriage. Teamwork makes the family dream work. Bravo. And you get an applause for that, brother, because I agree 100%. Their marriage and story are a test of faith and also resilience. Corey, do you think growing up in the country played a role to your marriage enduring the hardships that they went through? Because it appears that people from the rural country like you and I, we're from the 252, they tend to do a lot better long-term in relationships. What's your take on that real quick?
I think it definitely is the case because growing up in rural America, you're still getting into some of those roots from the past. The era of the era of the 1940s, 50s, and 60s. A lot of that is still there. Still a lot of nuclear families intact, still working the land or living on family land, and that it continues, that which reinforces family values of you stay together through the good, the bad, the better. You mean it when you say for better or for worse. You mean for better or for worse, and it teaches you that, like I said, every day is not going to be a picnic. Like I said, some days you go out to the chicken coop and you go in there and the chickens just move out the way. You get the eggs, no problem. Some days you go out there and then old Rhode Island Red Rooster runs you out of the coop, pecking at your heels the whole time. So it just makes growing up in those, knowing that you have to be able to adapt and adjust and to whatever's going on at the time. In that rural setting, I was just seeing so many things that have caused me, the experience that have caused me to learn, hey, you got to be ready for anything when you're living out in the country. Yeah, you got to be ready to go outside one night to, I forgot to take the trash out. And when you go, there's Brother Possum or Brother Raccoon or Brother Bear near the trash cans. You got to be ready for that stuff. You got to be ready for the dangers and challenges of life going out there. And it teaches you to be prepared. Don't go outside without knowing to make a lot of noise when you go, and also don't be afraid to carry your pistol when you go. Just things like that. It teaches you those types of things. Right. So I definitely think it has growing up in the country has taught me a lot about resiliency and just being flexible and having adaptability for any aspect of life.
No doubt. That is so true, and that is so powerful. So it appears that no one wants to pop in, so we're about to sign off in a minute. But Corey, what did you get from this show, and how did this show inspire you to continue to be resilient when there are times where there's darkness that besets you and makes you want to give up? How did this show inspire you, Corey, to continue to be resilient? And then we're going to sign off.
I think just in general, I won't say this particular episode, but just your episodes in the past that I've been in the live chat or watched, on replay. It helps to make you feel. It helps you to know that men needing help with mental health is paramount and it's okay. It doesn't make you a punk. It doesn't make you a BAN, as Ike Ogiamian likes to say. It doesn't make you one of those. It doesn't make you a simp because you decide to go seek mental health help. Because if you're actually doing yourself a disservice by just not doing anything at all, and just like you said, suffering in silence. And I think it shows a constant reminder of that, men, it is okay to talk to someone. And I'll be the first one to say, yes, there are a lot of things that I would not. There have been times that I've cried with my best friends, but wouldn't do it at home with my wife. And not because I'm ashamed of it, but again, because I need to hear something from another guy. I don't need to hear the pep talk at the time. I need to hear something from another guy to say, hey man, I've been through that before, or I've had experience with that before. This is what you might want to do, because we're solution oriented, we're solution driven. We want solutions. So when we have to put out a cry of help, we don't want to hear, oh, it's okay, pick yourself up by the bootstraps, you'll be all right, just tough it out, just do it. Nah, I need a plan. I need a playbook. Call the play for me. Help me, because at this point in time, the plays I've been calling ain't been working. Help me call a play. And so sometimes you got your dude that you go to, or like you said, you have a coach, a clinician that you can go to. And channels like these remind me and inspire me to say, okay, it's not just you. Right. And it's okay to go seek some help for any type of mental health issues that you are having. Do not suffer in silence.
Yes, sir. And you just came across my heart, Corey. And I believe in seeing men empowered. These spaces are dedicated to men, to the women that come to our spaces. To some of the things we talk about, you might not want to hear it. But this is a virtual barbershop where men say what we believe in, and men say and do what we believe in doing. And so, I believe in the power of free speech, that men have the right to say what they want to say. There are going to be some things that may offend you, but it's not always my intention. It's not always their intention. And while there are some brothers that could be saying things, some of them need to do the shallow work as well. So be an innocent bystander by watching, listening, observing, and taking notes. And you don't have to agree with everything we say, because as men, we don't agree on all things. But these shows are important because I want to inspire hope. And as a licensed therapist, I decided to do this show also based on my own pain out of a psychological concept called sublimation. So, Tim, it's been a pleasure, man. I'm so honored to have had you and Laquita on the show. Maybe one day we can meet. And you've never seen me, but I'll tell you, I'm 6'5", bald head, and I look like a big version of Little Bill. So like I said, these shows are very important. But man, it was an honor. We're going to do a show at some point with you and Quita called the Gen X Nexus, what we learned from the past about Generation X and how things have turned for the worse. And we're going to explore the mental dynamics behind how Gen X has played a role on the current generation now, and what do we do moving forward. So it's been an honor and a pleasure, Corey. I'm about to sign off. And like I said, so thank you, brother. Tell Laquita thank you for joining, man. She did an awesome job, man. I love you guys. And we will do something similar of this ilk again. Shout out to shout out to My Vivid Life. Shout out to Shannon Rawls. And shout out to all the people that are listening. And we're about to sign off. So thank you. I'm Corey. Thank you, brother. So Frederick Douglass once said that power never conceded without a struggle. It never have, and it never will. When you fall in love and when you get the man of your dreams, it's through the tough times that you guys become the better versions of yourselves.
keep God first. I see evil, when I converse.
Now today say,
This how God works. Play my position, what is given with no concerns. Set it off. Top of the morning, I'm gonna set it off. You living boring, I'm gonna set it off. Shooting, I'm scoring, I'm gonna set it off. Like soldiers torn, I'm gonna set it off. Son of God, no, I am not son of man. Blessings keep falling, the fingers keep coming in. I got you, but just know I'm texting like Uncle Sam. Left to the bank, you know that I'm coming in. We don't do it for the bands though, we don't do it for the clout. Legacy on the line, so I'm moving in and out. Seen good ones turn top dog, greedy ones get knocked off. I keep looking at the bench like I could never not ball. Coach keep me in the game, Curry deadly with the range. I keep looking in the mirror like, who is he? I'm insane. Who am I? He insane. Guess I ain't the one to blame. What's done is done, won't change. Time to live up to my name. Real will be real, fake gon' fall. Took time with this here, I'm made for a while. No sleep in the while, I won't fall. No sleep in the while, I won't let out. I keep God first. I see evil, when I converse.
now today say,
This how God works. Play my position, what is given with no concerns. Set it off. Top of the morning, I'm gonna set it off. You living boring, I'm gonna set it off. Shooting, I'm scoring, I'm gonna set it off. Like soldiers torn, I'm gonna set it off. Told my baby, meet me at the bank. Told my mama, I'ma break the trend. Locked in, I'ma change the weight. Working for my baby's kids. Hard times couldn't make the rent. Working hard, couldn't save a cent. Lonely nights, just me and God. Swear to him, always made the ends. Grab a paper, see the news. Hate coming by the tools. Walk a mile in my shoes. Something you can never do. Got my back against the wall. Bet I always pull through. Who are you? Who are you? Who are you? Who are you? Sending shots, I block 'em. Superman with the moves. Rock 'em, sock 'em, drop, pop 'em. Play to win, never lose. Run it up, I top 'em. Play for belly too. I hip hop or pop 'em. Anything I could do. The real won't be real, fake gon' fall. Took time with this here, I'm made for a while. Sleeping while I won't fall. No sleeping while I won't let out. I keep God first. I see evil, when I converse.
now today say,
This how God works. Play my position, what is given with no concerns. Set it off. Top of the morning, I'm gonna set it off. You living boring, I'm gonna set it off. Shooting, I'm scoring, I'm gonna set it off. Like soldiers torn, I'm gonna set it off.
she want to be my lover, yeah. I love it when she want to be my lover, yeah. My little baby girl rise on me. My little baby girl ride on me. Maria, Maria, Maria. Every time you're looking out for me. Every time you're looking out for me. Love you, yeah, love.
Everything go from Maria, yeah, yeah. Sensibility, yeah, yeah. Pretty girl like a Maria, Maria, yeah, yeah. Every time we meet up, every time we like oh, Maria, Maria.
Every time you look up for me, come on, look up for me. Every time you look up for me, come on, look up for me. Every time you look up for me, come on, look up for me. Every time you look up for me.
She no island girl, she from Kilimanjaro, Kiliman, oh. Nah, she no island girl, she from Kilimanjaro, Kilimanjaro.
My little baby girl rise on me. My little baby girl ride on me. Maria, Maria, Maria. Every time you're looking out for me. Every time you're looking out for me. Love you, yeah.
Everything go from Maria, yeah. Sensibility, yeah, yeah. Pretty girl like a Maria, Maria, yeah, yeah. Every time we meet up, every time we like oh, Maria, Maria. Now you want to spend more time with me. Do you want to be my wife, baby? I just want you in my life, baby. I like you, everything go from Maria, sensibility, yeah, yeah. Pretty girl like a Maria,